One of my witnesses, her name is Rayanna Ingersoll. She died 2 nights ago. I guess she had a autopsy yesterday. This is in Carbon County, Wyoming. This is one of the places where police did a lot of illegal shit and got away with it, but it's fine, isn't it? It's not. Here's a few conversations on here with Rayanna. She actually apologized to me for what she did. An apology won't bring her back, though, will it? See, while she actually did break the law, they didn't bring charges against her for what she did. They brought charges against her for crimes that she didn't commit, which is just stupid. Accusing her of not feeding those kids, not allowing them to take a bath. That's just fucking stupid. That's what they charged her with, though. But in reality, she was hitting those kids. But they dropped the charges against her, so it's okay, right? Will that bring her back? No. Not even fucking close. I know this woman's been in a few of my stories. Y'all remember the story about Doug Cowden, the child molester? The little girl that he raped? Yeah, that little girl was Rayanna Ingersoll. There were 3 men on Rayanna's I will never forgive them list. 3 men. She forgave the man who got her best friend killed. She forgave a lot of people who did a lot of really fucked up things. Now, the 3 men in her life that she would never forgive, their names are Doug Cowden, David Roop, and John Apolius. We know why she hated Doug Cowden, but why did she hate John Apolius and David Roop? Someone here with some symbols and a name I can't pronounce asked, who is Rayanna? Rayanna Ingersoll. If you look at the link just above what you typed, it'll give you a little bit of an understanding of what Rayanna is. Rayanna is a young woman who I grew up with here in Chappell. I moved here when I was 15. She was extremely young at the time. I used to work for her stepdad, Doug Cowden, as a roofer. That's right, I was a roofer. I know a lot of y'all have this opinion that all homeless people are lazy. What the fuck ever. I loved roofing. I didn't like having to two-man, or not two-man, but carry up 2 bundles at the same time. That wasn't exactly pleasant. And it's also not something you should do. If you have to put some bundles on a roof, I recommend getting a bucket truck or a skid steer, skid loader, whatever you want to call it. Put it up there without killing yourself. Rayanna had two sisters, Nicole and Heather. Her mom was the man hater who is the reason that I walked to Lodgepole. It's 9 miles away from here, by the way. I lived here in Chapel, and I walked to school in Lodgepole, and I walked back or jogged back at the end of the day. So 18 miles round trip every single day for about 6 months. Now, I don't think it was quite 6 months. But that was because her mother was such a rag. I mean, I just met the woman that morning, my first day at school in Lodgepole. And here this woman is telling me about how terrible all men are, directing it at me. Jesus Christ, woman, I just met you. How's that supposed to work? How can I be to blame for all these things? I'm a 15-year-old. I'm here for a ride to school, not to take your bullshit. That's Rayanna's mom. I stay away from people like Rayanna's mom because they're not good people. They're selfish people. See, there was how Rayanna felt about it and the way that the law did everything in their power to hide the truth. Courts tried telling us that we couldn't talk to each other. They put a why is that? Prevent their asses from getting in trouble. What those officers did, especially with the actions that they chose. They chose to victimize an innocent man. Rayanna knew this. Rayanna kept on telling me, hey, Sean, if you come back here, I'll take care of you, Sean. I won't let them do anything to you. And I kept explaining to Rayanna, if I go to Wyoming, I'll be arrested. Yeah, I wanted to see my loved ones, but I couldn't because of the situation that happened when Natalie died. All my money getting wasted going to court date after court date after court date with no help. They call me mentally ill as their excuse to not do their fucking jobs. And then they call me intelligent to pretend like I didn't make an effort and I should have. The fact is, I did every step of the way. Every step of the way, I have stood up to your bullies. When the cops kill an unarmed black man, instead of blaming white people, go after the cops. Go specifically after the police who did so. And when you're done with them, you go after every fucking officer who helped to hire or helped to hide the crimes committed by that officer. The things the officers did to me, they're all felonies. All of them. Now, they could probably plead a few of them down to misdemeanors. But at this point, I think those officers should probably turn themselves in and beg for a plea deal. I think between spending a couple of years in prison for the crimes they committed and becoming corpses, well, violence is rarely the answer, but when it is the answer, it is the only answer. We're up to 23 bodies now, people. 23 bodies because the police didn't want to listen to Sean Schwartz. They refused to believe that the most victimized people in America could ever possibly be victimized. Someone named Ray typed, "Hi Sean, I hope you're well. What happened? I'm late." Another one of my witnesses turned up dead. That's what happened, Ray. Matter of fact, I got conversations recorded about that. Might be in here, we'll see. There was a lady who sent me an iPad. I take my iPad with me everywhere. The reason I take my iPad with me everywhere, I'm going to show you. If I can find my telephone. I think it's plugged in the room. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, folks. Oh, God. All right, here's my telephone. Ray typed, "I'm sorry to hear that. Hope you were well, Sean." No, I'm not well. I need people to speak up. All these people with all these wonderful ideas, I explain to them. I could explain to them 1,000 times over and over and over again. It doesn't work that way when they call you mentally ill. "Sean, you should do this. Sean, you should do that." They won't let me. "Well, I don't understand. Why not, Sean? You're fucking smart. Figure it out." No, there isn't no figuring it out around that. When they call you mentally ill, you have no goddamn rights. You have less rights than a black person. You have less rights than a woman. Those are the two groups that I hear complained about the most having no fucking rights. Those of you women who want to blame men for rape, for child molestation, I want you to think about something. There are 28 million men in the United States of America who were raped or molested before the age of 18. 28 million of us. This is not a women's issue. $28 million. The ones that are easiest to get away with doing it to are those in the system. 88% of child trafficking is in foster care system. 88%. 80 to 85% of all child pornography in the United States comes from the foster care system. Write that the fuck down. Hey, Bad Nightmare. Yep. Yep. It's the name of somebody who's typing in the chat. Shaka. If you know what that means, we can talk. If you're from Huntington Beach and you know what a dirtbag is, then we can talk. We got something in common. Ray typed something. It says, "This message is held for review." I show them, don't I? Damn right I do. Ray typed, "Child pornography is fucked up. Should have banned that shit a long time ago." Or it should have banned that shit a long time. It was banned a long time ago. It was illegal a long time ago. The problem is that we didn't have body cameras for most of the last century. We had no way of making these police officers do their jobs. We had no way of catching these predators. Now we do. A lot of these predators, they felt that the badge gave them complete freedom to do whatever the fuck they wanted. That body camera, the reason that they fight it so badly and will not wear them and continually break them, is because they break the law every single day and they don't want to get in trouble for it. These people who we charge with doing their job, protecting and serving, who are they protecting? Who are they serving? It's certainly not us. Now, when it comes to the victims here, we'll talk about the first situation, rape and molestation. Now, many of you might remember in the 90s, there were several high-profile cases in Boulder, Colorado, where college students were raping other college students. And of course, there's also the JonBenet Ramsey situation. Since then, Boulder police have done everything in their power to hide and cover up rapes committed by CU students. What does CU stand for? Colorado University, or CU at Boulder. Colorado University at Boulder campus. Recently, there was Teresa Massilia, who was raped. She fought off her assailant, and she was charged with assault. Her rapist was never charged. Then there's Christine Kelly, also raped in Boulder County, also went to the police. The police claimed that she didn't fight back hard enough and charged her with filing a false report. Miss Kelly was going to college at CU Boulder to become a doctor. The police don't care whose lives they destroy. You say, I can't blame all police. Well, with all due respect, they all work together. With all due respect, I don't see these good police arresting the bad police. Matter of fact, I see them standing around laughing about it and taking part in it. Then there's the fact that 1/3 of the victims of this are male. 1/3, 1 in 3 of the victims are males. And we're told to go to the back of the bus. We're told that it's a women's issue. We're told that we should not complain because it happens more often to women. Tell you what, if I'm walking down the street with one of my friends, and my friend is shot in the head, my friend is a woman, and her family is angry, I'm not going to tell them, hey, you should stop complaining. It happens more often to men. 1 in 3 1 in 3. Now, the other issue to cover, racism. We all know it exists. Ain't no denying it. But the fact is, this BLM bullshit is complete bullshit. Unlike with the rape situation, where the majority of the victims are females, which kind of does give them a leg to stand on. Well, black folks, especially BLM, well, first of all, I want to state that not all black people are selling this bullshit or these lies. A lot of black folks that I have spoken with are aware that the majority of black folks going through this are either homeless or considered mentally ill. The majority of them. If you're sitting in jail, chances are pretty good 8 out of 10 times that you as an inmate were homeless when you were arrested. I got all sorts of fancy shit here. Fancy stuff that people in third world countries would sell, feed their whole family for a year. People tell me about how I should be grateful I live in the United States. Do you know how much we owe just for existing here? Do you know how much is demanded of us before we get anything? How much is demanded of us despite the fact that we can't afford any of these things that they want us to do? Any of the things that they demand of us. They're expensive. One woman was complaining to me that my computer is worth more than people in her country get in an entire year. And I let her know, first of all, hey, you're not one of those people because you're typing at me over the internet. That's number one. Number two, you're not here to pay these bills, are you? You're in a country where people earn about $200 a year, you said. It cost me more than $200 to be falsely accused just in the first 2 days. The first 2 days after being falsely accused, I spent more money than people in her country get in an entire year. So how much are your fines in that country? A lot of people tell me about how terrible Mexico is, about how much more expensive things are. Of course, I sat down, figured out the average daily wage, and the minimum wage in specific is what I was interested in. And I sat down and I did the mathematics. And I did the mathematics of how much a 24-ounce soda pop costs in Mexico. 15 cents. You could buy almost 3 times as many 24-ounce Coca-Colas in Mexico off of a day's labor as you could here off of our minimum wage. But it's not a poverty thing, it's a black thing, right? Meanwhile, the majority of those killed by police last year were disabled. Over half of those killed by police last year were disabled. Almost half of those killed last year by police were homeless. That's a lot different number than what BLM is selling. We're the most victimized people in America. We're the most minimalized. We're the most this. We're the most that. And meanwhile, none of the things that they're claiming that they're number one in are actually true. The homeless are your victims. The disabled are your victims. Why is this? Because of public opinion. Because of public opinion, these are the two easiest groups to victimize and get away with it. You don't like the hatred that you get to hear about black people all the time, right? About how they're all drug addicts and they're all getting 1,000,001 abortions. They're all selling drugs. And they're all this and they're all that. And all of those hateful things that you have to say about black people, that black people are fucking pissed off about. You say that about the homeless too. And a lot of black people say those exact same things about the homeless. It's okay if it happens to the homeless. That's what the Zaid Atkinson situation taught me. It's okay to do it to a homeless person. It is okay to do that to a homeless person. Nearly everybody's argument with that case was the fact that the man lived in the house. That's right. That's why he has rights. That's why people care. That and the fact that he's black. They made a race issue out of something that is not a race issue. When it comes to Ventus, that was a race issue. These officers came to his house knowing that the suspect that they were after was a white Ukrainian, and they assaulted a black man, illegally entered into his house, illegally assaulted him. Yeah, that's a racially motivated situation. That happened in Denver. I knew Ventus from Boulder. Zaid Atkinson, not the same situation. Here we got an upper middle class mutt. Those of you who want to get offended by the fact that I use the word mutt, keep in mind I describe myself as a mutt. Now this mutt wanted to play on the fact that his skin was a different color. Now at first he wasn't going to do that. He was going to be honest and fight for our rights. But then with BLM and all their bullshit and rhetoric, well, Zaid fucking sold out. But then again, I can't say he sold out his own people because he's not homeless. He's never been homeless. He's a pampered little bitch. A decent person wouldn't have played that race card bullshit in that situation. They would have told the fucking truth. Ray typed, police are useless these days, for fuck's sake. Being a police is like playing with blood. You mess up, people die. Public opinion only say what suits their narrative, not what's truly right. And I agree. I agree with you, Ray. I don't give a fuck about BLM. Is that true? Is that a true statement? No, it's not. BLM is making things worse for all of us. That doesn't matter what color skin you have. BLM is making it worse for all of us. BLM wants to complain that 13% of the population accounts for 22% of the incarcerated population. Meanwhile, 0.2% of the population, 0.2. But let's divide 0.2 into 13. Or we could just go 13 times 5. Why is that? Because 0.2 goes into the number 1 5 times. So what's 5 times 13? Let's do the math. First, we'll do it the way that I do it. We'll start with the very first number. 5 times what is what? 5. Now it's 3 times 5, 15. So we're going to take the 5, which is in your 10 slot, which would make it a 50, and we're going to add it to 15 in the one slot. What number does that give us? It gives us the number 65. 65. In order for the ratio to be equal, 65% of the population would have to be homeless. 65% of the population would have to be homeless in order to meet, that is, in equal playing field with black folks, as far as who is more victimized in the system. But the homeless do not account for 65% of the population, do they? The homeless account for 0.2% of the population. 0.2. So, black people don't get to claim that they're the most victimized people in America, because they're not. Number one on every list, nearly every list, is foster children. When you get to adults, it's former foster children. Who is the most victimized by police, however? The disabled and the homeless. Not foster children, not former foster children. The disabled and the homeless. Those are the two easiest markers to identify when you want to get away with picking a victim. Ah, damn, dude, that girl is fine as fuck, but she's fucking crazy. Holy shit, that gives me a great idea. I can rape her and then call her mentally ill, and it's magically okay. How many of you like that idea? How many of you like the fact that it does work that way? How many of you have sons and daughters that were on medications growing up? Antidepressants. Yeah, and now as adults, because they've taken those antidepressants, that can be used against them by every single predator in their lives. Anyone can get away with victimizing your child, and when they become an adult, you're probably going to be one of them fucking jackass little bitches who says, oh, well, you're an adult now, you should be able to take care of it yourself. Lovely. "65% of the population, in order to be equal in getting screwed as badly as we are, in order to be equal with black people, we would have to comprise 65% of the American population. There is only one group in the entire country that fits that. Males in this country do not account for 60% or 65% of the population. Females in this country do not account for 65% of the population. Black people in America do not account for 65% of the population. White people in America do not account for 65% of the population. The only group in America that 65% of the population, that would be parents. Parents are the only group that accounts for that high of a percentage or larger. Parents, you say save the children. Bitch, get off your ass. You're the parent. I am out here taking a fucking shitty, worthless, goddamn ass reading for your fucking kids. If I'm willing to take a fucking bullet for your kids, you can get off your ass and work with the other fucking parents, you dumb bitch. Ray typed, feels like we're going back to the dark ages where social hierarchies exist. Fucking hell. Social hierarchies never stopped. The only true democracy to ever exist. Do you guys know what it is? Some of you are probably of the opinion that it's Greek democracy. No, 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 no. No such thing as Greek democracy. None. The Greeks were a group of city-states who shared a common language. Spartans were slave owners. Matter of fact, there were 15 slaves for every single Spartan male. 15 of them. When you're talking about Greek democracy, you're talking about Athenian democracy. And by the way, Athenian democracy, you still don't get to vote if you're a woman. The only true democracy to ever exist was the Pirates of the Caribbean in the 1720s, survivors of Queen Anne's War. Why is it the Blackbeard named his ship the Queen Anne's Revenge? So, how did we sell to the American populace this idea of freedom and democracy? We showed them the pirates. Pirates in that day, well, it was very unpopular. The British, especially, it was very unpopular for you to like pirates. But here in America, the pirates stood up to all three of the greatest nations on earth, the three largest militaries on the planet, the three largest navies on the planet. And these people fought back. Most of them fought for the British, the French, or the Spanish. And after the war, there were no longer people to their respective governments or respective governments, although I don't think respect should be anywhere near either of those three nations at that period of time. But then when we got our democracy, this democracy that was sold to the colonists about these rogue pirates, pirates like Blackbeard who blockaded Charlestown. Why did he do that? Because his boys had genital problems. They had venereal diseases. And they needed medication. Yeah, they blockaded a port for medicine. Lovely, isn't it? I need to be able to go back and fight those people in Wyoming for things that they did, for the evidence that they took, for the immoral actions that they took part in. That's the thing, is that every single one of these judges, lawyers, and police officers knew what they were doing was immoral and illegal. Every single one of them. Problem is that we don't live in a democracy. We don't live in an Athenian democracy. We don't live in a 1720s Brethren of the Coast democracy. We live in a republic. What's the difference between a republic and a democracy? In a republic, the hierarchy makes the decisions. In a democracy, the people make the decisions. Why does the Constitution of the United States of America start off with "we the people"? For the same reason that the Romans put SPQR on everything. What does SPQR stand for? It stands for the Senate and People of Rome. Notice they put the Senate first. Americans weren't likely to go for that. They had to put the people first, or the people of the United States would not have gone along with people such as George Washington, Benjamin Franklin. Matter of fact, Benjamin Franklin wasn't even on our side when the war started. Did you know that? Benjamin Franklin was on the English side. He went to England, realized that the English didn't give a fuck about the colonies, came back and tried to enlist his own son to help. His son was a staunch loyalist, and he and Benjamin Franklin never spoke again. Hierarchies never left. In a true democracy, the people are educated. In a true democracy, the rules are the same for everybody. What's the average length of time that a child molester spends behind bars? That depends. On average, about 6 years for a male. Average. Now, actually, when I was reading it, it said how many months. I had to figure out it's right around 6 years. What's the average amount of time that a woman who is convicted of sexual assault spends? It's less than 5 months. Can you imagine that? Now, I always thought that there should be a more hefty fine for people who are in a position of power who abuse it like that, but that's not the case. When I was in Washington State, there was a teacher who got busted having sex with a 14-year-old student. 8 months later, she was out. She got rearrested. Why? Because she went over to see that little boy again. Because she was in love with him, and then that magically justifies it. Women are allowed to be psycho according to our society. It's a woman's prerogative. Well, if a woman's allowed to have that prerogative, so should a man. You say you want equality, but then when you're given equality, you complain because it's not what you wanted. Well, you think being a man is all fun and games? No, being a man is being blamed for everything that has ever gone wrong in the history of the world. That's what being a man is. And then we get it thrown in our face that there's misogynistic stories like Helen of Troy. Oh, yes. If somebody writes about how terribly manipulative and fucked up that a woman is capable of being, then they're terrible. But you're allowed to talk trash about all men. All men did this to you. Now, y'all ever go through this stuff and you hear me talking about women and black people and men and white people? Why is it that I do that? For equality's sake, for shit's sake. Do I really believe that shit? Fuck no. I post it up because it's equality. If you're going to blame all white people for things that didn't even happen in your lifetime or mine, but you want to blame me because of the color of my skin. You want to blame me for the actions of people with a similar skin color. You want to treat me as if I am guilty because of the color of skin that I was born with. Just like you assume that I must be guilty because of the gender that I was born. I can't be a victim because I'm white. I can't be a victim because I have a penis. The most marginalized people in this country are the homeless, bar none. They're more marginalized than women, more marginalized than Native Americans, more marginalized than black folks. Now I want to grab my phone to show you something, didn't I? How many of you can remember that far back? Right here. It says storage space running out. Some systems functions may not work. It said that for about 4 months now, 5 months. Now, I was sending stuff to the trash that I'd already recorded down to the computer, but the fact is that if I try to erase it, at this point, my trash is full on this, so it says it'll delete it permanently. I can't risk that. That's the reason that I recorded on my iPad. By the way, this iPad was a gift. And apparently, in a country in Africa, this thing right here is worth 2 people's wages for the entire year. Depending on if it's the cheaper, expensive model, and I don't know how to check that, nor does it matter. Gift horse, not a Trojan horse. Although I suppose it could be. Maybe the CIA sent this, or the FBI, and it's got something in it that'll tell them where I'm at, and what I'm doing, and so on and so forth, and they're just posing as somebody else. But really, that's all in the realm of fantasy at this point, because it's just an iPad. Now let's take a look at what we got here. Photos. This one right here is 34 minutes long. That's a conversation with Chris Stegeman. Sorry, there's only about 5% charge on it. Well, you're not the only person that I had. All right, so that one right there was one of several. That one's 34 minutes long. Here's one with somebody praying Ventus. I think it's like a minute or two long. This one's at my grandpa's old house. I don't know how to get it attached so that I can download them from here onto YouTube, or I would have done that already. This one is my John Deere. Here's another one, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. This is also my John Deere, driving by itself. All right. Ray type feels like we're going back to the dark ages where social hierarchies exist. Fucking hell. Slavery still exists after that war. Says a lot about society. You know what really says a lot about society? I want you to do some homework here. 13th Amendment. I want you to look up the 13th Amendment. Look at when it was introduced. The Civil War was not even over yet when the 13th Amendment was introduced. Now, President Lincoln had a plan to veto that. What does the 13th Amendment say? It says that slavery is legal if you're convicted of a crime. So they made it illegal in the South to be homeless. This is where the beginning of the cruelty towards the homeless starts. Before that, it was okay if someone was homeless to allow them into your house to feed them, to put them to work. But after the 13th Amendment and the South realized that we've got 4 million slaves who are homeless, yeah, we definitely want the 13th Amendment. We want to make these people pay because we lost the war. But it didn't end up just making black people pay, did it? No. It made it so that anybody who is too poor to defend themselves could be victimized. And the 13th Amendment not only made that possible, gave them a reason. Here's my Harley-Davidson golf cart. It's hot pink. I'm trying to put this where you can see it. Problem is that I'm getting a reflection. Let's see. And either one of those two works too good. Sometimes I can get them running, sometimes I can't. There's some other stuff here. Like right now, there's a conversation on here between me and a Native American fella who lives in town. Uh, he's the one that told me about what happened to Ray, right? We have to work together. You know, my worst fears are all coming true. All already came true. I'm afraid that I won't get to see my loved ones. I have to hear about them dying from a distance. I don't get to be a part of their lives because I was never allowed to defend myself. Because I have no rights as a human being. Those of you Christians who want to keep posting up about how all these Muslims should be nuked. Every time I say that America should be nuked, I'm thinking of you. And I'm thinking of equality. Equality would be to rob you down to nothing, destroy the land around you, destroy your neighborhood, and then send in a bunch of rich people from another country to shoot you and your fucking kids. Somebody posed a question yesterday or day before yesterday that I liked very much. Do racist Christians think that heaven is segregated? Jeff Baldridge's typed back. There's no such thing as a racist Christian. That means that at least 90% of you Christians out there aren't real Christians, according to Jeff. Did he say that? No, he didn't have to. You're racists, plain and simple, and you hold a lot of other prejudices that get people killed. You want people on your side by claiming that Christians are being persecuted worldwide. Meanwhile, you are pushing for Muslims to be not only persecuted, but executed and annihilated. Fuck your religion. I like Jesus, but you're a piece of shit. There's a good chance with all of the people who are dead and afraid that I won't ever be able to get justice for myself, for Natalie Bollinger, for Brian Gray. There's a chance that out of the over 300 people that I knew who died in a 10-year period, that I'm not going to be able to see any of their predators put away. The only justice to be had is if I was to pick up a firearm, you'll find these son of a bitches and pull the trigger. Why haven't I? I've had plenty of opportunity. Shit, I got a gun lathe. I could make my own goddamn guns. Nothing's stopping me. I've had at least 20 people offer me firearms since Natalie disappeared, and I've turned them all down. I can still get those guns. I can still make guns. I choose not to. But if my friends are just going to continue dying off like flies, and their predators are going to continue to get away with it, I'm going to give up my life. I already did. My life was taken away from me when Alicia Bollinger told Maddie Boa that I threatened her and her family. My life ended then. I'm not allowed to fight for my rights, so I fight for yours. And although most of you aren't speaking out about my situation, when bad shit happens to you, I do still speak out. And I don't choose sides based on color. If the police fucking kill an unarmed person, fuck the police. Regardless of the color of the person they killed, and regardless of the color of the police officer who killed them. Regardless of the gender of the person they killed, and regardless of the gender of the person who killed them. Ray typed, personally, I don't care about any people's lives being matter until the outcasts of society lives are matters and until every belief matters. Well, I have issues with spell check as well. I don't do talk to text because I end up with this issue right here. You see how fucked up a lot of the stuff I did, the talk to text ended up being. Like, holy fuck. They got 1 out of every 6 words right. How the hell is that possible? So today I feel like lighting some police officers' vehicles on fire. About 6 of them here in town. Am I going to? Hell no. If it gets to the point where I need to do something that desperate, people are gonna fucking die. Y'all aren't understanding that. I broke the law to save lives because no one would listen to me. And they still didn't listen to me. And more people fucking died. You want to complain that I'm a goddamn criminal? Fuck you. I tried doing this shit the legal way.